Going behind the scenes with Hollywood's power players. Real Hollywood Live with Ben and Reba. Starts now.
Hi, welcome back to Real Hollywood Live with Ben and Reba. We're here now talking with Herbie J. Pilato, who's an author, producer, and actually knows more about Hollywood
than I do.
Yes.
I was really impressed reading all your bios and all the films you've done.
Thank you.
But you started out as an actor, and you look like an actor.
Oh, is that good?
Yeah, I think it's, in Hollywood, you have to ask that question. Is that good? It opens doors.
Yeah. I started acting back in Rochester, New York, my hometown, and then I came to Los Angeles at UCLA, studied TV and film there, and that's when I became really more interested in the behind-the-scenes aspects for some reason, because I studied directing too. And then when I went to NBC as a page in the 80s, then I really got interested in the behind-the-scenes stuff. So,
well, in doing the behind-the-scenes stuff, you've researched and written a lot of books. And one of the things that if you're going to write about Hollywood, you cannot ignore fame, whether it's good for you or whether it hurts. And I thought maybe you could give me your take on some of these people that you've written books about.
Yes.
Did fame destroy them, or at least not give them what they expected?
well, let's face it, celebrities are not regular people. They're just not. Whatever issues that the rest of us all have, those issues that they have are exacerbated, a million times. So it's not as though they have more problems or issues than the regular person. It's just that whatever issues they have are out in front of everybody else. So they have to deal not only with, the regular things that all the rest of us have to do in our regular jobs, but then they have to deal with everything else that goes along with it.
But there is a flip side. What happens when they lose it? Can they handle life on life's terms?
Well, prime example, I guess, is Elizabeth Montgomery, who I did several books on, the biography, Twitch Upon a Star, and then I did her encyclopedia, The Essential Elizabeth Montgomery. She was a wonderful person. She truly was. She was a rare, a unique individual in the Hollywood scene. Her parents were Robert Montgomery, actor, and Elizabeth Allen, a Broadway actress. So she was raised in Manhattan, Beverly Hills, whatever. But she wasn't affected by the Hollywood scene, which I found very amazing. And she took that down-to-earth personality that she had, and she transferred it to Samantha on Bewitched, and that's why I think we all loved her. So she worked against the Hollywood thing. She didn't play the Hollywood game. She was nominated several times for Bewitched, and then for A Case of Rape, which was her monumental TV movie from '74, and then The Legend of Lizzie Borden, which is celebrating the 40th anniversary of its debut this year. But she was nominated, but she never won. And I think, and partially because she never won, is because she didn't go to the Hollywood parties.
I was going to say,
And,
something.
schmooze.
There really is something to the Hollywood game.
Yeah.
I mean, whether we want to talk about it or we want to pretend it isn't there, but you saw last year for the Oscars, they went to everything.
Mm-hmm.
And it's already started. I'm an Oscar voter. I am now doing the screenings. These are just for movies being released.
Right.
3 out of the 4 films that I saw this weekend had the stars or the director. And it's appearing before the Academy audience. I mean, last year out came Clint Eastwood for his film. It just so happens this past weekend I did see Love and Mercy, and Brian Williams was there. And the audience stood up and applauded. Well, let me tell you something. The studio that's releasing it is going to take note of the response and plan their marketing and publicity off of that.
I was there. I saw that film.
You saw that?
That night, yeah.
Oh, you were at the Academy too?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah,
so you
yeah.
saw the game.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, not that there's anything wrong with that, but it's every business does that, whether it's Hollywood or whether you're an accountant in a big firm. It's networking and politics and everything. If you have talent, which Elizabeth Montgomery did, then that's great.
So,
but
What drew you specifically to Elizabeth?
Yeah.
Did you know? What drew you specifically to Elizabeth to spend so much time focusing on her life?
Yeah, I grew up, like I said, in Rochester, and I guess I was bullied as a kid, and beat up a lot. I was a cute little kid, and I had all little girls, and all little boys didn't like that, so they beat me up. And so I felt the sense of isolation that Samantha had on Bewitched. And the show was about prejudice to me in many ways, and many minorities are attracted to the show over the years. And so that drew me to it. But I also, as I got older, I realized there was a true love that was going on that show between those two people, that Samantha loved Darren for who he was and not for what he could buy her, because whatever he could buy her, she could switch up something better. She didn't love him for his money or nothing. So that amazed me as I started into the dating scene or whatever. So I just felt just drawn to it and compelled to be somehow be a part of that show and to spread its message of strong work ethic and humanity and all of that. And it sounds silly for a little silly what people see as a silly sitcom, but it's not. There was a lot there. So then I wrote a reunion for it, a TV reunion movie, and Elizabeth didn't want to do that. And I said, well, how about we do a book? And then I did the Bewitched book, and then I did a second Bewitched book, and then I did her life story.
Wait a minute. So you dealt with her. This
yes.
wasn't just done on.
At the library, no.
Oh, then you have to. Okay, so you have to tell us more. Let's talk about the marriage.
There were a couple of them. Which one?
The one with.
There was Bill Asher.
That one, because he was very famous too.
Oh gosh, he was very talented, very famous. He of course did I Love Lucy. He directed the Patty Duke Show. He did all those great beach party movies. And the movie that he directed with Elizabeth and where they met was,
It's okay. I don't remember much today. Go ahead.
Johnny Angel or something. I think that's the title. And they met on the first day, and they didn't get along. They hated each other. It was a love-hate relationship. She was late or something. He didn't like that, and then I guess the next day they fell in love. So there you go. But they were very strong-willed, both very independent people and both very talented people, but they had a great respect for each other. And even after the show ended, when they finally did Bewitched, they stayed very close because of their children, who, by the way, are wonderful people, and who Elizabeth raised as with good priorities and sound priorities, the same that she had.
And what was your relationship with her like? Because you clearly spent a tremendous amount of time with her and got to know her very intimately.
I did. She was... I convinced her that I really believed in Bewitched and the sweet message of it, and she did not give interviews. She was very private, very, very private person. But Bill Asher really had talked with her about me and said, you really need to talk to Herbie. Herbie's really concerned with this Bewitched thing.
Okay, but how did that start? How did you get in that door? That's a big door.
It was
Herbie.
a big door.
Yeah.
It was a big door. Bill Asher happened to be doing a new Bewitched series. He was developing one in the 80s. And because I had written the reunion script for what I envisioned Samantha and Darren getting back together, I sent him that script on spec, and he really liked it, and he hired me to be on the staff for the new Bewitched. Unfortunately, that new Bewitched show didn't go, and then I had all this Bewitched energy. And I says, what do you think, Elizabeth? She didn't want to do the reunion, and she was apparently going to make this cameo in the new Bewitched. She was going to pop in and introduce this new witch and this new mortal and then pop off. I said, if she doesn't want to do the TV movie, and I know she's obviously now the new show isn't going to happen, will she want to do this new Bewitched or this Bewitched book? And so finally she agreed. I called her. He gave me her number. She goes, okay, give Herbie. She told Bill Asher, give him my number. I'm like, okay, fine, great. So 6 months later, after 6 months of phone calls to her house, she finally called me back, and I'll never forget it because I was doing the laundry, and I missed her call, and there she was with her message on my machine. She goes, hi, it's Lizzie Montgomery. I'm like, Lizzie? What do you mean, Lizzie? I'm Elizabeth Montgomery. So...
Okay, so I got to ask this. You've been around Hollywood for a long time, just like I have. What's your take on how tough it is to make it in this town?
Well, making it has to... I think the most important thing for anyone, whether you want to be an actor, a director, a writer, whatever it is, that you live your life first. You concern yourself with having barbecues and having coffee with people, your neighbors and your family. And if the other stuff comes, great. Just don't be attached to it. And then you go with the flow. If this doesn't work, I started out as an actor. I sang, I danced. I was a stand-in dancer for Solid Gold in the 80s. So I was doing all these different things, and then I just focused, and it's just about focus, but living your life first, and don't make the career the center of your life.
Oh, I take that.
Well, that's great. And I mean, you certainly, of all people that I've met, you created your own future. You paved your own way. And I think that is more possible than ever with the indie world. So we posed this question to Scott, but I've come up with a slogan in everything I do, think independently. And I always like to ask, what's that mean to you?
Well, we all care what other people think, and I think we should, but if it's going to devastate you, what the public opinion is, or what your friends think of you, or what your family thinks of you, it's not good. So you just have to have a strong sense of self and a very strong faith in however you choose to call God, as long as it's good. And I think you'll be all right, but you have to have those other things in your life. You have to have some kind of spiritual sense, some kind of life beyond Hollywood or whatever, and just, do good and be kind. I mean, to me, that's what independence is knowing that you're a good person and you're not out to hurt anyone, and just move forward joyfully in all you do.
Well, thank you so much.
No, I think we have, don't we have okay, we do.
Okay, yeah, you got time for another.
Okay, one of the things that's interesting is that the internet, we have shows like TMZ, which to me is called Gotcha.
Yeah.
Or how do you think this is affecting your view on the way Hollywood is going now, the entertainment industry is going now?
Well, I think it's not just Hollywood. It's like all news. Whenever anything happens today, I mean, the news doesn't even give it a chance for a story to develop. I mean, it's every second, and that's no fun. You don't want to see everything happening at once. You want to have an event happen, transpire, and then 2 days later look at it, or the next day in the newspaper. But if everything happens immediate, it doesn't become the news, it becomes life, and everything gets blurred. Is this life or is this a report? Is this a show or is this life? Certainly with reality programming, we're seeing that. So it's too much of a blur. There has to be some separation.
Well, let me ask you something. You're fascinating, and you played in a sandbox that very few of us get an opportunity to play in. Obviously, you knew her well enough, or she was comfortable with you,
Yes.
that Elizabeth Montgomery would say, "Hi, Liz, I'm Lizzie."
It's true.
When the sandbox was empty, when it was over, how did you deal with that?
Oh, that's a very interesting question, because before I met her, I was just not doing the writing, but I was, performing throughout Hollywood and whatnot. And I just felt that after I met her, nothing else mattered. It was very strange. Actually, when I met her, I went back to New York and took care of my parents, because they were older and they didn't have anyone. And I couldn't abandon them, and I didn't really think that God was going to abandon my goals if I didn't abandon, if I didn't abandon my parents, or if I did abandon my parents. So I lost all my objectives and goals. It was very, very strange, and it took me years to really come back. But had I not lost those goals, I don't know if I would have cared for my parents the way I did. And I don't know if the work that I'm doing now would have been as good, I think, had it not been because I was caring for my parents and I became a different person.
Well,
We ran out of
Herbie,
time.
thank you so much. I wish we had more time, but for everybody watching, you can get Herbie's best-selling books at Amazon.com, and the specific link will be on the visual on our chat. You can also follow Herbie on his blog, which is herbiejpilato.blogspot.com. So please sign up and tune in to learn everything that he knows and be a part of this amazing world that he's giving us insights into. And we'll be right back.